School children should receive an accurate and comprehensive education on communist regimes and policies. Communism has led to the deaths of over 100 million victims worldwide. It has failed every time it's been tried. And sadly, polls today show that 1 in 5 millennials and 1 in 3 members of Gen Z have a positive viewpoint of communism. Wow.
Con su traje. ¿Cuál traje? ¿Un chaleco a prueba de balas? No. No. Voy a desembarcar así en Nueva York. I will land in New York like this. Yes. Tengo un chaleco moral. I have a moral one.
Before we get to the video, please like, comment, subscribe, share it to that uncle who's a communist. And if he isn't, he will be.
Don't forget to follow us on Patreon at patreon.com/revolutionaryrhetoric. And Revolutionary Rhetoric is an affiliate of the Anti-Capitalist Podcast Network.
All right, let's get to the video. All right, Islamic Socialist, welcome back. How have you been, my guy?
Back again. Welcome back, dude.
I've been good. I've been incredibly busy.
Dude,
yeah,
I'm right there with you, man.
Same.
I'm right there with you. Yeah, it's been quite a while. When did you have him on last time? It was like
I was actually pulling that up. I don't remember exactly when it was, but it was cold out, I remember.
It was cold?
I think so.
It must have been like over a year ago.
Yeah, it was well over a year ago, yeah.
Well, for sure, yeah. So how have you been? How's everything been going?
It's
okay over there on the east side of the country?
Yeah, it's been good. It's been all right. I've been going through my own personal rough patches and trying to get into a better situation. And now that I finally am, I've been building with my comrades down here in the area. And we got 2 organizations that were getting kind of propped up. One of them is already out to the public. It's already known. The other one we are going to be coming out with soon. Additionally to that, I've also been just slowly but surely building my influence back since I've been removed from Instagram, and I now have. I honestly think I might have more influence now through my writings, through my articles, and through my manipulation of algorithms on Reddit and TikTok.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, and that's the big reason, not the only reason we're having you on, but a big reason we wanted to have you on was to kind of talk about one of those projects that you just kind of alluded to. And I'm not sure we're even familiar with this new secret second project, but I'm excited to talk to you about this first one. I've kind of been teasing it to a couple of my comrades here and trying to build up a little bit of hype for it, on the low key, but I'm excited to get that conversation started today.
Yeah,
absolutely. I don't know. The whole thing about Instagram, I've had a few people send me send us collabs to, associate with the post. And I'm just listen, I might agree with you on that post, but if we do post this is definitely gonna get us kicked off.
Yeah.
So we got to pick and choose our battles, because if we get kicked off, we have to start all over again. And it's been a year and a half of slowly gaining followers and slowly gaining, momentum in our podcast. And I'm I just don't want to risk that right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, and I understand.
Okay,
Sorry.
No, go for it.
I was going to say, I understand that. That's the reason why, after kind of testing out with Instagram, which is honestly became a lot more repressive with their censorship over the course of the last couple of years, and also playing around with the other social medias, I kind of have a system going now. It's there's certain social platforms where I water down some of my points, and then there's other ones where I can just say and do whatever I want, which is largely Telegram and Rumble and Substack.
Yeah. Yeah, and we see Telegram and Substack in particular as kind of being the more.
I haven't figured out how to use Telegram.
Yeah, I'm on Telegram. I'm on a couple of different channels.
It's so I just don't understand how it works. It's almost like instant or direct messaging, but I'm confused how the whole system even works. So I've downloaded Telegram for like a year and a half, and I'm like, I haven't even used it. I just don't know how it works.
Yeah,
it's confusing. I feel like an old man.
I'm only on one like channel, I guess now. I've removed myself from the rest, and it's the local PSL like action stuff. So,
I don't know.
It's okay. I don't know. I don't really understand.
You'll have to send us a link to yours because I don't. I have. It would be. You'd be the first, I guess, Telegram thing I'd be following. I don't know how it works.
There's a few comrades that I found on Telegram, like broadcast channels where people upload like educational content or memes. But yeah, no, I have my own little broadcast channel that I use for just, I don't know, I guess getting my thoughts out. It's essentially my Twitter, except without the worry of Elon.
Yeah. I'm still on Twitter. We're trying to push the Nazis out. Honestly, it's become a little less. At least my algorithm has become a little less fashy.
Yeah.
At first, when he took over, it was it was fucking horrible. I mean, like some fucking repulsive ass statements with profiles with no fucking pics, with AI fucking images, and you're like, Jesus Christ! Is like, are there this many fucking like repulsive people on this planet?
Yes.
And then eventually, like, the rightful actual thoughts and stuff actually started getting more momentum than like people like that.
I will say
it was just for a second.
I will say, based on what I have kind of tracked and looked towards, trying to see just how active and how many of them there's a lot. It's gotten more terrifying now in terms of their growth versus any other point I've seen. And it was already bad when it was in like 2017. Now there's a bunch of them.
I will say that at least for all of the kind of like Nazi activity that's on Twitter, that it's largely isolated to just like these certain online platforms.
Yeah.
Not to say that there aren't Nazis in real life. Obviously there are. But I mean, like Twitter, you're saying it's not as bad now, and that could just be your algorithm pushing you different stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm not on Twitter. I hear horror stories, but I'm somewhat comforted to know that at least it's only just in the one couple of locations, right? Only the certain channels on the certain like apps, Telegram, Signal, whatever, or Twitter. I don't know if there's something to be taken, like any positive to like hopefulness to be taken away from that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
well, as oppressive as Instagram can be, a lot of the Nazi content on there is essentially banned. Just like they ban some commie shit, they'll ban like some Nazi shit. You have to push the algorithm. Obviously, there are people on Instagram that will push right wing propaganda, even some like white supremacist shit. But there's a certain point where they will be cut off as well. So it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah, I've seen that firsthand. Like I follow a lot of gun like influencer, for lack of a better word, like content. So like just different manufacturers as well as like firearm, like I don't know, influencers, I guess. And they some of their stuff gets censored and some of their stuff gets pulled, and they've had stuff pulled down. And so like I see both sides of it. Like I see leftist content get taken down or shadow banned constantly, but I do also see, not that guns are inherently right wing, but I see these guys are some of the people that I'm like keeping an eye on. They are right wing, and their content also gets pulled down and banned. So it goes both ways. You're right. It is a double-edged sword.
You said you're on Rumble. Are you like live streaming on Rumble? The only time we've ever interacted with Rumble is when we had to live stream the Republican primaries one time because you couldn't find it anywhere else.
Yeah, no, I don't live stream yet. I plan to. Any live streaming I do, I mainly do on TikTok just because it's very easy to grab a bunch of people. But I haven't started doing live streaming yet anywhere else. I do plan to do that because that's kind of part of a giant like network that I'm essentially making for social media activity. I want to start live streaming on Twitch, on Rumble, TikTok, just these three major platforms. Rumble, if I was to live stream on it, it would be a safer place where I could just kind of say whatever I want. And I use it primarily to upload content that I can't upload literally anywhere else. I've already lost the YouTube channel because of the content that I've been posting to Rumble, which has been exposing, just to kind of list a couple of them. It's reposts exposing the terrorist activities of Israel, the United States collaboration with ISIS, um, stuff like that, things like that that YouTube does not take kindly to at all. And I even wanted to test just how little kind of monitoring that Rumble does over the content that gets uploaded. I uploaded a whole propaganda video from Hamas, and it's still up there.
Yeah, I mean that's what we've heard from like the right wing people. That's why like all of the gun YouTubers went to Rumble and left YouTube, is because of all of their stuff was taken down, so they could just post whatever they want. Rumble's supposedly like the last bastion of like free speech, and so like right wing people take that as like they can just say whatever racist stuff they want. But again, the bonus side to that is that left wing people can use it to kind of actually discuss and
the
have these
double-edged sword, or
conversations.
we could use it to our advantage as well.
Yeah, goes both ways.
Yeah. What's the at what point can you actually start live streaming on TikTok? I think it was like 1,000 followers or whatever.
No, you can live stream even before that. It can depend on your follower count. Sometimes that is the case, but I've seen people live stream on TikTok that have only like 200 followers. It largely, at least based on what I've seen, it largely depends on your account's age.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Because I know at a certain point you can actually get to the key to actually live stream TikTok through OBS.
Oh, well.
Yeah, and you whatever you have on like your camera or whatever, you can actually live stream directly onto TikTok. So I was like, that might be an option to as well, with like when we're making these episodes, just live stream it on TikTok.
Yeah. Wouldn't be a bad idea.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Figure something out there.
Shit. Well, let's get into the conversation about your newly formed group that's not so secret.
Yeah. The first of the two.
Yeah. That would be Red Rifle Collective. It's the funny thing about Red Rifle Collective is we formed it with the group of South Florida SRA, right? South Florida SRA, the comrades that have made that group, would not have existed without the same comrades that made Red Rifle Collective. The same people who made South Florida SRA would later end up breaking off from SRA and making Red Rifle Collective. And it's due to a large number of reasons. The two biggest ones was we were absolutely sick and tired of the bureaucracy of Socialist Rifle Association, and the other reason why we did was because we did not feel welcomed. As being mostly Marxist-Leninists, we did not feel welcomed within the SRA. So we decided we do not want to be involved with a group that clearly does not want us here.
Fair enough. I don't know enough about the SRA to criticize
I was
them.
involved. I was a member for a couple of years when I was in Phoenix. I was part of the Phoenix SRA, and those guys were pretty cool. A lot of them were... Most of them were anarchists, I would say. A couple of them were trots. I don't think there were any Marxist-Leninists, at least in the Phoenix chapter, in like the early 2020s, late 2010s. And I assume that's what you're alluding to as well, because Marxist-Leninists kind of aren't really welcome there. They're considered like red fashion tankies and authoritarians and stuff. So like there's a lot of like hate toward MLs from the kind of
that's ironic
because, or the anarchist side of it.
Yeah, it's ironic because most of the people that are revolutionary and actually gun wielding are usually tend to be communists themselves.
Yeah, well, that's not the first contradiction we've pointed out with anarchism, but we don't need to go down that road. But yeah, no, that's my only interaction with them. I haven't messed with the Seattle SRA yet. I don't know how active Seattle SRA is, but by and large, like you alluded to, their bureaucracy is kind of a mess. They're all over the place. Their nationals has been in a lot of trouble for just different things. I don't want to just totally like shit talk this org because they do a lot of cool stuff, and it's chapter based. Same thing with like CPUSA or PSL, right?
Yeah,
individual chapters can be doing really cool stuff. I know like it's the NEO, the Northeastern Ohio SRA. They have a really cool like Instagram. They do a lot of trainings and stuff. So like they seem like they're like really on top of it and doing some cool stuff. Other chapters not so much. I think it's a chapter by chapter basis thing. I think
it is, and that's something that we have mentioned before, is that we do know that there is good chapters and good people within SRA, and we don't hate those people. Our criticisms that are still pinned at the top of our Twitter page, though our criticisms were largely centered towards national, because we understand that an organization as large as Socialist Rifle Association clearly does some good things, and it's good to recognize that. We were mainly focusing on the head of the organization that has actively caused us problems. And this, and the thing that's crazy is when we came out with our document stating why we were breaking off, they proved to us everything we said. Because when we ended up breaking off, we got flooded with hate comments and angry people from the SRA, most of them anarchists and Trotskyites. They flooded the comments of our post. Our post ended up getting over 180,000 views. They flooded the comments of our post saying, "Good, we don't need you. Good to get rid of an organization or a club that isn't pulling its weight, blah, blah, blah." We had people saying that you guys never even existed. Like, the fact that you're doing this now is purely for clout. And we clearly existed, because otherwise we wouldn't have been posting. The same social medias that are now Red Rifle Collective was the same social medias for the South Florida SRA. Like, they just, everything they did, everything they levied at us was just proof after proof of why this was a good idea. And ever since we broke off, not only have we come out with our own website, come out with our own constitution, we have also been meeting almost every single month to train, to get together, to talk, plan, build a program. We have just slowly been getting this organization together and properly functioning.
Cool. Well, speaking of, can you talk a little bit more about the actual organization itself? Like, speak to that constitution. Kind of what are some tenets and whatever some kind of pillars of the Red Rifle Collective?
Yeah, absolutely. So the organization, when we got it together, the first thing that we focused on was wanting to get a website together, get a constitution. That way people know what we stood on, right? And we based our constitution largely off of not only our past experiences, but also the constitutions of Marxist-Leninist organizations that exist. Me and my comrade, Marxist Hoodlum, we both have probably the most experience out of our group in terms of organizing and being part of organizations. So we took what we knew and we put into the creation of a constitution. I ended up taking what I experienced and learned from my involvement with Peace USA and my involvement with SRA. My comrade took what he knew from his involvement with PSL, the Tenants Union, and a couple other groups that he was involved with. We also took from the Bay Area Marxist-Leninist Collective. We took from them as well. We also took a little bit of what we understood from democratic centralism, from the KKE, and from the Marxist-Leninist Party of Turkey. That we took from a few, just trying to mold this into a proper constitution. And we delegate on this constitution for, I would say, a month or so. We just slowly just piecing it together, going over it. We even ran it by our members to get their insights and just touch up on it. And then when it was put to a final vote, we came out with it. Just to go over some of the tenets that we have, some of our core beliefs as an organization. We are a Marxist-Leninist organization. We firmly hold to dialectical materialism. We hold to a strong anti-capitalist I would say more post-capitalist. To be fair, we want a scientific socialist state. We hold to multipolarity. We believe that the world is too unified under the current Western colonial powers, and we want a shared stage between different powers because we do not want the Western colonialists to dominate the world anymore. Um, there's a few others I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. I have not looked at our constitution since we ended up coming out with it. Um, but there's a besides from just core tenets, we also base it heavily off of democratic centralism. The current positions that we have is president, general secretary, treasurer, and um, outreach. These leadership positions that we have of our organization are constantly in communication. We're constantly building. My my comrades that handle over finances are always delegating to make sure that we keep our income balanced, if not more than our output, because the website and everything costs money. We are a dues paying organization. Members pay dues. People who have submitted to our website, we go through a whole vetting process just to kind of make sure we know who we got coming in. We keep it as well structured as we can be, despite being a relatively new organization.
Yeah, sounds like you guys know what you're doing. What is some of the work of the party or of the organization itself look like? Like you mentioned training. What does training look like? With staying within kind of OPSEC, you don't have to reveal all your state secrets.
Yeah,
kind
of course.
What are you looking at
as
far as training?
So training wise, the training programs for each different range day are different. We go through certain things just to kind of like increase our skills. All of that is handled by our RSO, our range safety officer, and that would be our vice president. He's the one that handles that. And just to kind of give some examples, some of the trainings that we do is malfunction drills, just to try to get used to how to clear a jam as quickly as possible and get back to shooting. We do this with not only just pistols, we do this with rifles. We have also been doing our last range day. We did El Presidente shooting, which is essentially where you switch between three targets, send two.
Yeah.
You send two rounds down range, switch to a target, two down range, and so on and so forth. We do that
a lot.
Huh?
I was just saying, that was one of the drills I used to do a lot when I lived in Arizona.
I just love the name for it.
Yeah, we have a bunch of steel targets, and that's what we would do, was switch with our ARs, two, and two on three different targets spaced out. Yeah.
Oh,
it's fun. It's a fun drill.
Yeah, no, it's the thing too is that I apparently did really good at that drill just instinctually. I haven't practiced that at all. But the funny thing too is that the pistol jamming drill that we did, we actually decided to get a little creative with it. What we would do is we would put two dummy rounds into a mag, and we do it at random. It's not like we know. We hand our mag to another dude and he does it for us. We don't peek or anything. We refer to them. We nicknamed them the Luigi drill. So yeah, we get a little creative with.
No, it's funny. Me and my friend used to do the exact same thing. We would have a dummy round, and we would load each other's magazines with one, and then run a drill, and then just see if you could stop it and clear it, and then get back on target. So yeah, these are all excellent fundamentals. These are the things that you should be training: mag changes, malfunctions, switchy targets, moving, communication. These are the fundamentals, the staples of kind of post basic firearm training. There's like, there's like basic stuff before that, but once you get comfortable with the firearm, these are the kind of things that you should really be working with: is moving, shooting, target acquisition, target changing, mag changing, and malfunction clearing.
Yeah.
Have you any inquiries about different chapters opening?
So fun thing about that is ever since we formed, when we launched our website, we have gotten quite a good number of people who have submitted to it, who are interested in joining. We're still going through the vetting process with some people who sent information to us. And we have gotten people outside of Florida. We've gotten people outside of the South who have shown genuine interest in joining us. And we are planning on starting chapters as soon as we get the necessary amount of people. You only need 3 people to start a cell in a different state.
Yeah. Well, that's great, because that leads me to my next point, which is that I am going to try my hardest to start a cell here in Seattle. So I went to a range day after our last episode. We talked a little bit about guns too, and then. So it got me a little hype, and I had a nice little range day with a buddy of mine who has been in different organizations, different kind of gun clubs as well. I'm going to stay as vague as I can about that. But I went with this person, and we had a little buddy range day, and it was great. We did some simple drills. It was an indoor range, and I only brought pistols, so I was limited to just pistol stuff. But it was fun. We were there for a little while, and then I was chatting to him about this because you and I had spoken, or our podcast and you had spoken about Red Rifle Collective ahead of time on Discord, and so I was floating that idea to this person, and they're very interested. And so and I know there's a couple other people that they mentioned that were used to be in stuff like John Brown Gun Club or SRA up here in the Seattle, Western Washington area, and they would all be interested again. So I'm gonna get a little crew together, and then I'll definitely be submitting some paperwork to you on your website shortly, probably just after this episode. I'll send over you to get that process started for me, and there's definitely at least 3. Definitely, I would argue that there's probably quite a bit more, because there is a vacuum in the Seattle, Western Washington area of like kind of an organized gun presence, organized gun club. There's quite a bit. We have a pretty heavy like PSL, CPUSA. We had CPUSA, communist like organizations that do a lot of mutual aid and stuff, but there's very little in the way of gun rights orgs here for lefties. There was the John Brown Gun Club, but they have kind of reverted. They've moved to just more of like a behind the scenes, like stop the bleed and kind of first aid and other kind of like just trainings. As far as I understand, I'm not a member, so I can't speak to because they're pretty tight on their OPSEC. That's a pretty battened down organization. So, but as far as I know, they don't have a lot of presence post like 2020 in the Seattle area. So anyway, I'm very much looking forward to that. That's filling a hole that I've been looking for, which is a Marxist-Leninist gun rights organization. I'm a big gun guy, as any longtime listener of the pod would know, and I'm very much looking forward to that. So
and
so if you get any other applicants from Washington, send them my way, and we'll all link up.
No, of course. But yeah, no, it's something that we have discussed, and when I say we, I mean before we even formed Red Rifle Collective, the guys down here in South Florida. It's something we've discussed for a while. It is, forming an organization purely for the Marxist-Leninists, because there wasn't one. You had Socialist Rifle Association, which was essentially a big tent. You have John Brown Gun Club, which honestly became the secondary place for people to go who were mostly communist. And you had that was really about it. The only other people I can kind of think of would be like Red Hand Rifle, or it might be Right Hand Red Rifle. I have no idea. I can't remember them. But there was.
How dare they exclude the left-hand people?
But it's like
I'm left-hand.
But it's like there wasn't really anything, especially, and this was one of the big criticisms that we had with SRA was we wanted an organization that wasn't hindered. We were hindered. We could not go to protests representing SRA. We could not get involved in anything that was too militant. Like we couldn't do a lot of things, and we didn't tolerate that. We didn't want that. We want an organization that wasn't hindered under the nonprofit classification that SRA was labeled under. We wanted a group that could be able to provide self-defense training to people who need it, and also expand upon that into actual like gear and theory and strategies, things that are necessary for if something actually happens.
Yep. I mean, I think that's great. That was a lot of pushback we ran into. We had proposed a couple of years ago when the CPUSA was still operating in Seattle. That chapter has since been nuked by CPUSA National for being too radical, too leftist.
Too radical.
We
were too communist for the Communist Party.
So the Communist Party USA destroyed, actually, like kind of killed the Seattle chapter, and a lot of those guys have since gone on and kind of done their own like local work, which is they're doing good stuff. I'm not impugning that, but I will say that for CPUSA, a couple of years ago when I was a member, we tried to put forward as part of like our annual state convention more militia training, more like kind of like firearm training, more first aid stuff, more not like militia per se, but like just more gun stuff, for lack of a better phrase. And we were met with just heavy pushback. You were there. They just told us like on no certain terms, absolutely not. We are not like, and they even said that like the guns have no place in communism. Violence has no place in communism. And I'm like, I don't think we're reading the same communist theory, but all right.
Yeah. Like how brain dead are you? To be honest, most of the people in CPUSA, when you go up to like the uppers, were basically sock dems.
Yeah.
I mean, they were like, oh, we got to support the Communist Party of Israel. Yeah. I'm like, are you out of your mind? Israel shouldn't exist in the first place. So hence, the Communist Party of Israel is a fake party itself.
Yeah. That was a big controversy.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But it's
that's a true story. They invited the Communist Party of Israel speaker to come speak at their national convention in Chicago in 2023 or 2024, whenever that was. I know because I was there. But anyway, I digress. They have an incredibly strong pushback to any type of militia or firearm, or even kind of like firearm adjacent, like community defense stuff or like preparation stuff.
Like, I get it. I do. It's because the way that this country kind of operates, anything that is pretty much seen or labeled as a militia, if it's right wing, they don't care. We already know that. But if it's left wing, they'll do everything in their power to destroy it. That's the reason why it's like the way some organizations kind of operate with the whole we're just a gun club on the surface, and behind the scenes it's a completely different story. Like like that's a good strategy. Honestly, I'm not opposed to it, but it's the reality is, and this is the only time I will ever quote Enver Hoxha in this regard, right? Is when he talks about how it's nice to have intellectuals, but if you don't have any kind of like standing defense, any kind of like armed group to the side of it, you're just sitting ducks. You're gonna get destroyed. Like it's like, and I'd say this is the only time I will ever quote Enver Hoxha, is because as a Muslim I do not mess with that man under any circumstances. But no, it's like this is he is right in this. If you are as we all recognize ourselves to be, if you are a revolutionary group, you can have intellectuals. It's necessary to have intellectuals, but you need soldiers. I'm sorry to say it, but you need soldiers. You need, and if anything, it's good to have a soldier that is an intellectual and vice versa.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you need something to back up your claims.
Ho Chi Minh's a really good example of that, of like philosopher soldier.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did Ho Chi Minh say? It was like my socialism is my patriotism or something like that.
Yeah, I forget the quote exactly.
Something like that.
Yeah, and Michael Parenti, if you don't want to quote Hoxha, you can quote Michael Parenti. He said very similar thing as in Black Shirts and Reds. He talked about that. He gave us this anecdote of like, or this like kind of parable of like, imagine an anarchist state, and like if your neighboring fascist state, I forget the specifics.
Anarcho-syndicalists.
Yeah, and it's like if you're overrun, like how are you going to defend yourself? And like you need. Like it's the contradiction of authoritarianism.
Something like anarcho-syndicalism, where a true like communist state would mean that there is no state, and hence, so if there's another state that's right next to your community, you have no defenses.
Yeah.
So
You
a
need
communist
soldiers.
utopia would only work realistically, like an actual communism, not socialism, would when the entire world ends up becoming socialist and everybody drops their borders.
Until then, you need an army. You need
Yes,
soldiers.
until then you need an army.
Yeah.
And
Right.
those armies need to be trained, and they need to be competent. So that's why, I'm fully supportive of any kind of gun rights group or gun group for the left.
It reminds me a lot of like the Black Panther Party. You know what I mean?
It's a really famous
like,
example, sure.
Yeah, like the police, the police were beating the literal fuck out of any black person. You know, was it like New York, right?
Started in Chicago.
Chicago, sorry. And it's like, well, what got them to stop was like 100 people coming in with fucking rifles. And they're like, okay, maybe we don't beat these black people. It's like, whoa, that worked. I wonder why.
It worked up to a point until they executed the leaders.
Yeah.
Well,
Exactly.
Well, it touches back to something that Lenin said, which was the fact that a man with a gun can control 100 of them without, right? It's like, that's the point. And it's something that us as communists understand well, which is the monopoly of violence. It's like, if you have a group that doesn't have any kind of weapons, and you can easily tell that group what to do. You can bully and abuse the hell out of them. But if you are, if you're the abused party in the whole situation, then it means that the other side isn't going to respect any kind of like begging or crying that you do, clearly because they don't care. Otherwise, they wouldn't be using violence. It means your only option is to level the playing field.
Yep. That's exactly the point I made last week. I don't know if it'll come out in this order of episodes, but the point I made last week, and
I posted it today.
Okay, perfect. So it bears repeating that, and I want to just really hammer this home. Is that is such an insane take by liberals to say that only the people who we have acknowledged are Gestapo, we acknowledge that they're violent, police, ICE, whatever, they should have the monopoly on firearms, and they should have the monopoly on violence. That is the liberal position, is to let them have that monopoly. And that is just insane logic to me. You recognize them as dangerous, you call them Gestapo, and then yet you say, on the other hand, well, civilians shouldn't have weapons of war. Only the Gestapo should have weapons of war. And it's like, my brother in Christ, what are we doing here?
Like their point is valid up to a point where like you're not living in a pseudo-fascist state.
Yeah, sure.
If this was a
utopia, I would agree with you that, yeah, sure, fine, abolish guns, but nobody needs them. No, I wouldn't, because I've read Printing, and again, there still needs to be a standing army. But even apart from that, sure. If things were better and the world were, in a different way, maybe I could be convinced. But the world isn't that way, and there are fascists at our doors.
I understand their position where they want to change things democratically. We talk about it like rational human beings. But at the end of the day, it's like when you turn around, we're not living in a rational universe. We're not living in a space where these people are going to comply with you and be like, you know what, you have a good point. Maybe we reach somewhere in the middle. That doesn't happen, right? You are living in the utopia that you want that you're dreaming about. We're living in real life,
real world,
materialism. Yeah. We're living in a state where you understand that where power is from, and so the only way to have change in that power is to arm yourself to a certain extent,
and at the very least defend yourself against violence, right? Like, even if you don't want to go on this offensive and kind of like be this revolutionary, fine, whatever. But black, brown, queer folk need to defend themselves, because there are real threats to their life and their livelihood from fascists and these kind of reactionary forces in the world, and that's just the reality of it. And it's unfortunate that it really is. It's awful that is the truth. But it is what it is, and it's better to just be prepared and defend yourself than it is to just roll over and just let yourself be killed.
And now more than ever, you kind of have to start stockpiling on these things, because maybe we do have a full out civil war. You never know with the shit, but it's like you have to be prepared. It's better to be over prepared, and then nothing happens, than underprepared and the fucking world implodes on you.
So, to all of that being said, go check out Red Rifle Collective. All of the links for that will be in the description. I'm definitely going to be sending over my dues payment and my application. It's like just a formal application form on the website?
It's a contact form on the website. You fill out the information there. We get in contact with you, plan out a availability, and then schedule a vetting.
Cool. Yeah, that sounds good to me. I'm gonna hit that up, and I'll convince some of I'll let the other people know in this area that want to check it out to kind of join up, because I want more organized. Like we do range days, and we do kind of like impromptu, just one-on-one, like me and a buddy will go shooting. But it would be cool if it was more, organized, more systematic.
Absolutely.
More systemic.
I've been wanting to join some sort of organization, but like just the lack of time.
Have you ever fired a gun?
I have fired a gun.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
Yeah. I've multiple times.
Oh, sure. Okay, I can remember.
Even a Tsiganka, which is like a Yugoslavian version of an AK. So that was pretty cool. But like I was saying, I've been wanting to join an organization, but since CPUSA, I don't trust anything. I tried to join PSL, but they literally it was such shit communication that like there was that was like, so when do I come to these meetings? When do I do this? When do I do that? And like, I don't know. And I told them like, hey, listen, I have a podcast. I have my own views and everything. We won't say that PSL is associated with the podcast. So I think they kind of were like iffy because of the podcast. So I'm like looking everywhere for like an organization where's like they'll accept the views and so far like I've been thinking about APL, but I'm also still a little iffy about everything. I don't know much about APL. We just had a person on, was a few episodes back, 4 or 5 episodes back, Mira. Who's part of the Seattle APL and
had a lot of good things to say about it.
Yeah.
It's not that I'm like I don't know. I'm just kind of turned off to like big tent parties like that. Like I don't know.
It's not a big tent party.
Well, I guess that's not a big tent party, but I mean like PSL or CPUSA or kind of SRA or any of these organizations that are like national or larger. Like they also, I don't know. I think that's not what I'm looking for personally. What I'm looking for is just community defense. Like
I'm looking for a vanguard party, but I don't see any. That's a problem, because you can have a party, like a decent party like APL, where they are, non-revisionists, Marxist-Leninists. But then your tent is almost kind of a little too small because how many people are going to join that and become, a quote-unquote a woke Stalinist,
Well,
and then at a certain point, it's just like you need a certain amount of people to fight a war. You can't have like fucking 5,000 members and suddenly take over the U.S.
Yeah, no, I want to touch to that because this is the thing, right? On my Substack, I criticize the left quite a bit, right? I've probably got like about 7 pieces on it. One of the things that I have touched on is the issue of dogma, the issue of elitism and purity fetishists. It's like the left has got a lot of them. It's got a lot of people who are really arrogant in their views that do not want to work with anybody else. And the individualism that's an everyday problem in America has corrupted a lot of people in the left to the point where they don't go out, they don't do the necessary work that they need to. This is the thing. When I was in Peace USA, I did everything in my power to get outside as often as possible, to organize in different communities across the Eastern Coast as often as possible, to try to, because the way that I see it, and I've mentioned this before in my works, I see this struggle as life or death. I see it as a fight for survival, essentially. That's the reason why I devote every bit of my free time to this fighting, to this organizing, to this building. And the problem that and I've been one of those online leftists before who was like just online doing dumb shit for no reason, just getting into fights that lasted days, if not weeks, if not months. And it doesn't do anything. It's functionally useless. The people that we need going out into the community are the people who know how to break down theory to an understandable level for the everyday American. We need people who can go out into communities that are desperately struggling, that need somebody to fight for them. We need people who understand the actual suffering the everyday working class American goes through, instead of just insinuating what the suffering is like and then making a hot take on fucking Twitter about it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well said. Yeah.
Absolutely. Shit. Well, do you have anything else that you would like to talk to us about your recent works, whether that be with the your new collective or with your own
secret second project? If you can talk about that one.
Yeah. So there's been a lot of projects I've been working on over the course of the last year. A couple of the ones that I got done on my side, on like just my personal projects, was my Substack, my writing has now gotten over. It's actually almost about to hit 1,500 followers now.
Nice.
It's starting to get quite a bit of reach because I actually like looked at the course of the year, like traffic that it was getting, and I got somewhere over 50,000 views over the course of the like. I think I have like 92 articles now on my Substack. And I'm slowly moving those other those over to another one of my projects that I got done, which was my own personal website. I now have my own personal website. I now sell my own personal merch. That flag, one of the designs of 20 that I have up, and I have like 50 more in my hard drive that I need to get made. I also do consulting now, so there's that. Uh, in terms of the second big project that I'm working on with the same comrades, um, it's a because everybody in my immediate circle are like tech people, where we all know technology fairly well. I'm completely self-taught in cybersecurity and intelligence gathering techniques, along with OPSEC, which is why my OPSEC is so good. Um, my one comrade has gotten his Security Plus certificate in networking. He's gone through the boot camp and everything. We have another comrade who does IT. The project we're making is called Byte Red. It is a IT services agency. We are going to start with consulting and educational guides, and we're going to move into actually providing services like website monitoring and network monitoring services. Um, and to couple onto that, it's also going to be expanded to a think tank, to a socialist communist think tank. One of the things that we want to do, which is something that I have talked about before, that they understand and agree with me on, is that we have many propagandists, we have many organizations, but they're all individualized. They're all separate from each other. There is no collective communication, organizing, planning of messaging or what to focus on. It's all just individuals or small groups just pushing propaganda, and that's fine to a point. But something that I've noticed with the far right, the way that they got so successful was because they centralized their propaganda. They got all the people who were pushing their garbage, and the organizations that were pushing their garbage, they got their head people into one specific communication network, and they all strategically psyop the hell out of the population. They push their propaganda, making sure it's appealing to the everyday person, and they get their messaging out there either with blatant propagandists who are pushing blatant Nazi propaganda, or with people who are doing it covertly. And this is especially the most obvious when you look at the way that the Republican Party and these Republican news anchors have been using certain terms. I know this because I've been watching these people for the longest of time. The argument of open borders, the argument of great replacement, a recent one that was talking about like immigrants are poisoning the country. These are all Nazi talking points. These were
Yeah.
all bled into Republican circles through people who were infiltrating them and spreading their propaganda online.
Yeah, now they're all kind of mainstream. These are like mainstream Republican talking points now. They're no longer fringe ideals. I mean, it's gone so far. I mean, this is just kind of hammer this point home. The birthright citizenship thing, that's what the Supreme Court is, I think, debating on this today, right? Or no, yesterday? Or no, today. I don't know. This week, whenever the Supreme Court is, because the Supreme Court's about to close for their session for the summer. They're handling this birthright citizenship. The executive order that Trump put out was basically ending birthright citizenship, which is kind of like a wild notion of like just an incredibly racist and incredibly like I don't know, like not eugenic, but xenophobic and just like very Nazi-esque talking point.
And it's
of
also
like,
very authoritarian, but like not on the good kind,
Yeah,
it's very authoritarian because it is a congressional amendment, is it not? Post 18, like it was like
it's part of the 14th Amendment, I think.
Yeah, it's like 1860, 1870, right? So if it is a congressional amendment, Congress has to be the one to remove it, and they're just basically blatantly using the executive power handed to by the Supreme Court to do that.
Yep.
So it's just like,
it's just, but that kind of goes back to your point though, is like these new talking points which are now become mainstream. They all started with kind of on the fringe, and then just the more and more they get normalized, the more and more they get centralized, fed through like kind of the Republican communication machine, most notably Fox News. But now they've branched off. But I mean, for a long time it was just Fox News.
Yeah.
But then what is it? Daily Wire and
Breitbart.
They have a couple now. Breitbart,
Daily
thank
Beast?
you. Daily Beast, I don't think is right wing inherently. I don't know. I'm not a huge follower, or I don't know too much about it. Anyway, the point is that they do this a lot better. We've mentioned this before. They do communication, they do propaganda so much better than the left does. I would argue they're bad at it. At the ground level, like their propaganda is bad, but they're so much more unified and organized.
And they also have the capital to administer this propaganda.
That's fair.
We don't have the capital, and we don't have the organization.
Well,
that's what's like. I keep getting back to. Go for it.
Yeah. This is something that this is true, obviously, but it's also something that is an easy fix. We have got a bunch of people who refer to themselves as leftist or left wing in some variety, right? But there is not remotely enough money going towards organizations or groups of people that are trying to fight for something important. We have all the money possible to give to Hassan or Vosh or Destiny or one of these people who refer to themselves as leftists. I like Hassan. Don't get me wrong, right? I love the guy.
Sure.
But it's like as much as you may want to support a content creator, and I get that because I monetize my own stuff. I get that. There is organizations who repeatedly say that their two biggest issues is a lack of people to get things done and a lack of funding to finance it. We need to have people who prioritize and care about this movement like they say they do, start funneling money into things that are benefiting the fight as a whole.
Yeah. Well, that's what I've said in a few episodes now. It's like there's only so much one Turkish man can do. You know what I mean?
That's what
he has brought on people for DSA, for PSL, and stuff like that. But it's just like we don't have the organizational structure to have like our Fox News, right? Mm-hmm. What would be ideal, in my opinion, would be to have all leftist content creators tell people, start funding this collective, start funding this source. Like for example, this is just like one off the top of my head, but like Means TV, right? If we can get as many people to just start putting in $3 to Means TV. This again, not them specifically, but just like they're the first thing that pops up in my head. We could actually have a large structural leftist news network that can actually start breaking propaganda.
We just need a union. You're describing a union. We need a union. All leftist content creators should just
absolutely, dude. That is a great fucking idea.
And just join a union. That way, where it's all just this under the umbrella of the leftist content creator, content like social media, whatever. They have unions. That way, it's all centralized to like one organization. Where we can all do our own things, but just be a part of one unionized network.
Well, that's kind of the point of Byte Red is, not only are we going to provide technological services and assistance, because that's another one of the big criticisms I have with the left is we do not have the technological infrastructure that is necessary to do a lot of the work that we need to get done. On top of that is the lack of centralized propaganda. We have a bunch of people who make content, and that's awesome, and it's definitely convinced a lot of people in the country over to the movement. But we need better propaganda. We need people who can strategize and boost content. We need people who can be able to put out something at the right time of day so it gets the most amount of views. We need an institution that can be able to teach people, get them all into one specific channel, and get them planning and building. And that's the point of that's partly why Byte Red is also a think tank. It's a place for members of the left, content creators, influencers, whatever word you want to give them, propagandists, people in organizations, get them all under into an encrypted communication channel where there's no worry of censorship, and we can plan and strategize and fight.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's really. I mean,
I
that's a beautiful
100%
dream.
agree.
Yeah.
How do we get that organized? That's my problem. Because like, how are we going to convince all these leftist content creators to join this? You know, what's I mean, besides, I guess I was going to say what's in it for them, but if they were any decent of a human being, they would be like, this is a great idea. This is what needs to be done, regardless of money or content. You know what I mean?
Well,
and if they don't, I mean, you should call them out.
true, yes, but there's actually that. It's funny you say that because I can really approach it in that way. When it came to Red Rifle Collective, me being somebody who knows social media the best, I promoted it heavy. Like I pushed it to get it out, and of course we did with our own channels too, and our channels have a decent following. So there's that. With Byte Red, I'm gonna push it as heavy as I can, and since I do know quite a bit of influencers, I'm gonna go to them and I'm going to proposition them like, hey, this is what we're building. We want to get people involved. If you're wondering what you get out of it, I mean, it's pretty logical. It's if you get into a centralized chat where you don't have to worry about if your social media goes down, you've now lost contact with specific people, you can be able to talk to them, strategize, share ideas, improve your content maybe, and also boost each other's content as well. If there's enough people in a
Yeah.
given chat, you can be able to say, hey, I just dropped this. Can you guys, share it to your platforms? It's a way to essentially manipulate algorithms as a way to get as many eyes on a given piece of agitprop.
Yeah. Well, as well as you could also make the cases like, listen, you're also going to have an increased communication with different people. So if you ever wanted to get somebody on, you have direct contact with them first and foremost.
Yeah.
You know, like if you want to increase the amount of like people watching your stuff, you have people to contact to bring on to share your followers with theirs and theirs with yours.
Exactly.
And yeah, no, that's a great idea. I like it.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely keep us informed how that goes, because I mean, we'd be happy to contribute and to help and kind of be a part of that, building that out.
Oh, trust me.
But not that.
Trust me. Is when it came to building Byte Red, you guys were on my mind immediately. I wanted to get you guys involved as soon as it was launched, which it's very close now at this point. We've already got the paperwork filed for it. We have a website that I'm working on. It's not much left over. That we already have even the channels made on Element for bringing people into those encrypted communications. Like, we've been working on this. We've been working heavily on these projects.
What, if you don't mind me asking, what kind of paperwork are you like? What kind of paperwork do you have to submit? Who are you submitting it to?
It's an LLC. It's we have it filed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we have it filed with a agency in Delaware to try to mask our anonymity, to protect our anonymity.
Sure.
Absolutely. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. You're going to do a full LLC so you can actually have. Okay. Yeah, I like that. That's really cool. It's very professional.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Well, is there anything else you would like to put out there before we end this episode?
Besides just simply check out Red Rifle Collective, follow me on my socials, maybe check out some of the merchandise. That's about it.
Yeah, definitely. Links for all of that will be in the description below. Definitely check out Red Rifle Collective. Get involved. Even if you're not in the South Florida area, get 2 buddies and start a cell in your area. I know I'm about to do the same thing in Seattle. So
we also are probably going to be expanding out even more because Red Rifle Collective has formed an alliance with a group that is also building a mass network.
Oh, okay.
To what
it's like
end?
internationally?
No, nationwide.
Nationwide. Cool.
Okay.
All right.
I don't want to. I don't
Awesome.
want to
Yeah,
share
well-
too much until they're ready
Sure.
to launch. Yeah.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Understood.
Absolutely.
Yeah, understandable. Well, definitely, guys, give Islamic Socialist a follow on all of the various platforms. They'll all be in the description below. All of the links for all of this stuff, as well as the Red Rifle Collective website, will be in the link below. That was it. That was a really great conversation. Thanks so much for coming on again. I'd love to have you back on. I looked it up. It was March of 2024, so it was
Damn, man.
a year and
Over a
2
year
months,
ago.
yeah, that we last spoke to you.
Yeah.
Quite a while.
But keep us in mind for any of this future stuff, man. We're always around. I know we're both busy as hell, but I like to think that we put our money where our mouth is when it comes to this type of stuff. We're not just talk. We do, actual stuff. We get out, like you mentioned, going out in the real world and doing stuff. Will admit that I've done a lot less of it recently with my grad school really ramping up.
Yeah,
It's been kicking my
it's-
ass again this last 2 weeks. My grad program has been kicking my ass. But
You're
I used to
almost
do a lot
done.
of
You're
mutual
almost
aid.
done, man.
I used to get out and do a lot of stuff. I was at the protests recently these last couple of weeks with varying degrees of success, but I can completely support that, and we're big supporters of actually going out there and doing something. Being online and talking shit online is fun and all, but it doesn't actually accomplish anything. So you got to get out there. You got to know your community. You got to help your community.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's kind of.
I'd like to think we try to accomplish some stuff. You know what I mean?
Well, sure, yeah.
Well, the amount of hours I put into this podcast for propaganda is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Like 20 hours a week, literally.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man.
If you saw the amount of content I have on my extended hard drive and the amount of drafts that I have for articles and books, it's insane.
It's mind-boggling. Yeah, for sure.
I have been doing this
Well-
for years.
Well, thanks so much for coming on, man. Just keep up that good fight. And thanks everybody for listening. We've been Revolutionary Rhetoric. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Give us a share on YouTube if you're listening to this on the audio version. We're on YouTube. If you're listening to this on YouTube, watching it on YouTube, we have the audio on your audio podcast platform of choice. Give us a follow, Revolutionary Rhetoric, on social media. We're on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram.
We're also on Red Note.
We are on Red Note. I forgot about Red Note. That craze kind of came and went. We do have a private Patreon, or excuse me, it's a public Patreon. There's no, it's not a private Patreon. We have just a public access Patreon with just some behind the scenes stuff, bloopers, whatever is on over there. And lastly, we have a Discord. Join our Discord, Revolutionary Rhetoric. Links to everything will be in the description. Thanks again so much for Islamic Socialist for coming on. Really great conversation. I hope to have you back and keep us informed of what's going on. And I will keep our audience informed of what's going on with Red Rifle Collective once we get that going. Red Rifle Collective West. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah,
Yeah. Sweet. Well, thanks so much, man.
of course.